But I came across a conference about multifamily real estate. And that's when my third eye opened. And I was like, wait a minute, 1 second. Are you telling me that instead of owning a house, I can be owner of a whole apartment building? Like, this is insane. I remember just going to, when I was visiting my friends in their apartment buildings. And I always thought like, oh my gosh, it would be nice to own one of these, but it was just like a wild thought or whatever. But years later, like somebody's teaching me that you can actually do it. I was like, wow, I'm in a mission to help 1 million women create wealth through real estate. And not only that, we also want to help them grow on every aspect, personally, professionally, spiritually. I think, we both agree that in order to achieve higher levels of success, we need to work on all the areas.
Welcome back, or welcome to the Conscious Investor Podcast, the show where we talk about health, mindset, and wealth. I'm so glad that you are here because I am joined by my good friend Jazmin Salinas. And I have just been so inspired by her. The moment we met, it was pure inspiration. And when you hear her story and you hear where she's been, what she's endured, and what she has built, it is nothing short of, wow, I can do anything in this. I can do anything in this lifetime. She is all inspiration. She was a speaker at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit 2024. She has co-founded a massive organization called She, which is really empowering so many women in a powerful way. And what I really deeply value about She is that while it is focused on women, it's not to the detriment or to the throwing elbows towards the gentlemen out there. It is just a way to really support women who may not. Well, I'll let her describe exactly what it is when we have that at that point in the conversation. And Conscious Investor, I know you're going to gain and grow so much through this podcast episode today. Jazz, welcome to the Conscious Investor Podcast.
Julie, I'm honored to be here with you one more time. Just like you said, I'm glad that I inspire you. But likewise, when I met you, you didn't meet me the first time because you were a speaker in one of these events that we go. And I was like, wow, hearing your story, what you have done, I think that's why we really connected when we start talking about what we're up to and the things that we're doing. That's where we connected because are super aligned on personal, professional, spiritual growth. So I love it. I love you. And I'm super excited for today.
Oh, it's so great. I just want to start with this question. The question like, who are you? Right? Like, you do so many things, you wear so many hats. It's very challenging to say, well, this is Jazz. No, that's Jazz, because she's all these things and more. So I'd love to hear from you. How would you describe yourself to others and what you do and what your life's purpose is?
Yeah, good people ask me who I am. The first thing that comes to my mind is I'm a child of God. He sent me with a purpose, and he sent me, at the end of the day, I just want to truly live through God and just show people that when you put God first, He will take care of your personal, professional life. He will take care of everything. And, I'm a living proof of that. But I'm a real estate investor, owner, and operator of real estate commercial assets. I mainly focus on multifamily. We have properties across Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and Denver. I'm also a founder of She builds, she owns, she invests. It's a community of women who are either starting in real estate or looking to start in real estate or just in different business industries where we're like-minded and we have this drive to do something great with our lives.
I love how she brings women, and I've seen gentlemen who are there as supportive also. I love how you bring people together. Let's start with she, just because we're talking about that, and I'm always excited about that. And I love the presence that she had at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit 2024. It was wonderful. And can you just share? Let's go into the depths of how did that? I remember when it started. I remember, and it actually started, and then it rebranded into she. So, can you tell me why did you feel that there was a gap or something, a reason? What was a reason why she needed to be formed, and where is it headed?
Of course. The first thing that I realized is like I'm so blessed to be part of these partnerships, communities. I go to all these events, and I'm blessed to be part of what we're building with massive capital. But the reality is that most women out there, they don't know where to start. Like, of course, we all want to start investing, building our portfolios. We want to create something for all the generations to come, but we don't know where to start. To me, it was like, I can be that rich. I most of the time I'm the only woman in a lot of meetings, a lot of tables. In events, it's just like minority, just 20% woman, 30%. It's a highly male industry. And to me, it was just a way to share my network, my friends. I go to all these events. I can connect with people like yourself. And I was thinking, like, how can I bring Julie and all her friends to all the women out there? So that was the truly inspiration behind it. Like, just give back and show them, inspire them that it's possible. Like, if I did it, everybody can do it.
Mm, I love that. And truly, your story is a story of inspiration. And this is a fact. And so can we talk about your story, where you're from, conscious investor, you hear the accent and you're like, wait, where, and you want to know if you're right on that accent. I know it. So why don't we talk about where are you from and how did you come to the US and develop an expansive real estate portfolio and prolific group for women?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Mexico. That's where my accent is from. I lived there until I was 17, 18, and moved here. And pretty much I had to start all over again. I didn't speak the language. I had to start all over again with my with university. And it was very hard for me because I had to reinvent myself. I had to start from scratch. It was very humbling as well because when I was in Mexico, I was going to one of the top universities in Mexico, like the Harvard in Mexico. And now moved here, and it's like, okay, we don't care. Like, that doesn't count here. You got to start all over again. Oh, and you can really start because you don't speak the language. So you can really work because you gotta have to go through all this immigration process. You can't even get a driver's license. So it was shocking for me, and I was like, you know what, this is not for me. I'm not gonna be able to stay here. And the hardest part is that I couldn't go back. If it was up to me, I would just leave and thank you, United States, for everything, but I'm back. But we moved here for safety reasons. My dad was kidnapped by the cartel in Mexico. So we knew that, we couldn't go back because for safety reasons. And we're happy that my dad came back. But it was just a really, really hard experience that I was able to just to stay here and cry every single night. But I knew that my family was here, that we were safe, and I couldn't just go back and, take a chance on that.
It's really wild how quickly, how fragile life is, how quickly life shifts. I mean, and to have, I know, I recall your dad is a true north in the way that my dad was a true north to me. And so, how did you navigate that element and use that, leverage that to move forward in a powerful way?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it took a lot of years. And I can just remember one time when I was going through this. I don't want to say depression, but just like really confused. And I don't want to be here. I'm not going to be able to stay here. Everything is super hard. I didn't see the light on the tunnel. And I remember having this conversation with my parents. And I told them, like, I think I'm going to go back. And my dad told me, I'm sorry that I pushed you through this. I'm sorry that you have to start all over again and everything that you are going through. But the reality is that you are not the only one. If somebody else in the same position that you are is winning, you just need to go figure it out. And that conversation just moved the needle. I was like, you're right. I'm not the only one. There's millions of immigrants in this country. I have to figure it out. I just start pretty much it was just a way to start where I was with what I have and just move forward one step in front of the other. And that just changed the needle for me.
It's amazing how just a single conversation can shift things for us. But our hearts have to be positioned to receive it, right? And so I love that. So, what did you do after that conversation? You said it moved the needle. Where did things go and how did things shift?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just little steps every day, just like getting out of the house and try to. I went and to college, got my degree, found a job, started speaking English, and then just continue with my education, saving money and all that. Just pretty much like little steps every day that then you look back and it compounds, like I was working and I was just saving money because I didn't know, how my immigration process was going to be or anything. But I also always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to start my own business. My dad is a business owner. So I always had that in me. So I was just saving money. I remember he told me, whatever business you're going to start, you're going to need money. So start saving. So I was just saving money. And that's, at one point, I had $45,000 in my bank account. And I'm like, this is enough to start a business, but I didn't know what kind of business to start. So that's what led me to accidentally, landing in real estate. Because I had the money, but just I didn't know what kind of business to start. So my first thought was like, while I figure something out, let me put it in a piece of real estate. And I wasn't ready to buy a fourplex, duplex, a house. So I was like, well, I'm gonna buy a piece of land while I figure something out. At least I know my money is safe and, it's gonna make some money. In the bank, I'm making $0. So that's how everything started. I bought my first piece of land and fast forward, I just continue doing that over and over again.
It's just amazing where things, how things begin, humble beginnings, and then how things snowball with that mindset that you have and that willingness to get to get dirty and to like really allow things to grow because now you're gallivanting around the country constantly and you're rubbing what do they say, brushing shoulders and rubbing elbows with, the Grant Cardones and all of those people. So let's talk about how you buy some land. What's the gap? What's between I bought a little bit of land, now I'm in this partnership and I travel around the world and I'm in these different masterminds in these different settings.
Yeah. So I bought this piece of land, and after that, I started learning about real estate. I had the opportunity to do sales for a real estate investment firm, and that's when I learned everything. I was getting paid to learn. I learned how investors think, how they analyze properties, and I was like, hold on, I didn't get such a good deal on this lot. I pay higher than anybody else in the neighborhood. It was on the floodplain. And I was like, I'm just gonna sell it. Rule number one to invest, never lose money. And it was like my hard money that I worked so hard. I was like, I'm not losing a dime for this. So I sold it for 45 and I just made $5,000 revenue. And I just started doing that over and over again. It gave me the confidence to do it over and over again. At one point, I was transactioning like I was buying like 4 pieces of land a month. And I'm like, what else can I do in real estate? It has to be something else because when you're flipping, you're just as good as the last flip. I wasn't building anything for the long term. So I started exploring and attending a lot of conferences. One of those where we met, but I came across a conference about multifamily real estate. And that's when my third eye opened. And I was like, wait a minute, 1 second. Are you telling me that instead of owning a house, I can be owner of a whole apartment building? Like, this is insane. I remember just going to when I was visiting my friends in their apartment buildings. And I always thought like, oh my gosh, it would be nice to own one of these, but it was just like a wild thought or whatever. But years later, like somebody's teaching me that you can actually do it. I was like, wow. So what I did is like, I'm gonna go in. This is what I want to do next. And I started networking with everybody in the community, in the mastermind. That's where you find people, the movers and the shakers. So I started connecting with everybody. And that's what led me to connect with one of the principals at Massive Capital, Mike Bailey. And, things have a snowball from there. But yeah, that's pretty much how everything started.
It is how everything gets started. Now, I'm sure that people are going to wonder as you follow Conscious Investor, you go follow Jazz on the socials, and you'll see she's always at different events with very high profile people. I'd love to know because I think everybody wants to ask this question, but they don't always have the opportunity to. So, Conscious Investor, I've got your back. How is it when you are around those top tier people? How does that translate into your business, into how you do things? What is it that you just like absorb that helps you expand further?
There's two things. I think we always, it's common to sometimes just feel intimidated by all these people, especially when they start talking about $1 billion portfolios and all that. And I'm like, I'm just learning. I'm. A small girl town. So one is just, of course, we have this it can be intimidating, but I think that's the only thing that changed my career. Like, I always tell people, we are one connection away from a completely different life. And there are some things that help me. One, I had certain goals and I was doing something. I had certain goals in my life, but just being on those rooms where people are living 100 times your goals, like, that's not even something that you thought about that is possible or that you can do. And for that, people is daily life, and this is what they have done. So you connect with them and they share their experience, and it's just mind blowing. Like, I was thinking too small. So that was the first thing that completely opened my eyes to a new horizons. The second one will be that everybody's willing to help. Like, once you show up, once people see that you are committed, that you are serious about it, like, people start, everybody wants to help, everybody's there to grow, and everybody understands that you got to build somebody else before building yourself. So everybody's open to share. You just gotta ask, and you just gotta be clear on what you're looking for and what you can offer for somebody else. In all these events, a lot of people is, how can I add value to you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know you. I don't know your superpowers, your background. I don't know anything about you. So when you are clear on what you want, you're clear on what you can offer to people, you start connecting with everybody. At the beginning, you go wider, but once you find your people, you say like, hey, this is what I can do. This is how I can add value to you. Can we have a conversation? So
This is one of your massive superpowers is that you are an extraordinary network. How do you keep things in order? My husband's like, how do you, because I'm a super connector as well, but I think you're like the 10x super connector. But he is always like, how did that person even come to your mind? You met them one time, you spoke with them for like 5 minutes at an event 5 years ago, and they just came to mind in this weird conversation, and you're connecting them. And he's like, how do you do that? And I just have to tell him, like, I don't know. It's part of my super connectedness. But there are some other strategies to be more effective with that. What do you do to help kind of keep things straight so that you can really leverage out your network?
There's two things. One, I always try to find what people are looking for.
Mhm.
So instead of what I need from them, there is a quote by John Maxwell that says, I want more for you than I want from you. And that's just that is I have that very clear. And every time I try to find what they're looking for, so I can add value, so I can connect them, or I can just help them achieve whatever they're looking for. And the other thing, like when I go to all these events, it's so easy to connect. At the beginning, I will talk to the whole room, like everybody. Now every time I go to all these events, I look for 5 people who can change the needle in my career on different things. You know, I talk to people, what do you do? What I do? And 5 people that I know they can change the needle in my career. And I don't ask for anything. I just start building the relationship with them. I just try to add value, stay connected, support their events, support their social media, everything, whatever I can do to start building the relationship with them. And then if, down the line, something can happen, that's great, but if not, at least building the relationship with that people.
Mm, I love that. Okay, I can hear a lot of people. And then this doesn't just apply to real estate investing, conscious investor. This is really any type of networking that you're doing. And so sometimes people will say, but Julie, I don't know how to add value. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what value do I have to add to someone? I'm new. This is my first time in the real estate investing space or in the personal development space. Or a lot of times people downplay their strengths because, and they don't understand they can add value. So, what are some ways that you found that you added value, and how can other people discover their ways to add value?
I love this question just because when I first met the principle of at massive capital, I wasn't sure like where I could add value. I had zero knowledge about multifamily. The part of underwriting numbers, like that's a part of my brain that barely works. So it was very intimidating to understand, like, especially in multifamily, there's so much that you need to know. Or whatever you want to do, the more that you explore the industry or the business, it's like, oh, I don't know anything. And it's so easy to get so caught up on the things that you don't know. But what I did was just to start with what I have. I when I met him, he was like overwhelmed. He closed on 5 deals in 1 month. So he was like all over the place. And I came just putting processes and systems, organizing files, connecting, picking up the phone from when investors is like, oh, I just need an email from this. Like that's something that everybody can do. DocuSigns, starting hiring BAs, building a brand, just organizing and putting like pretty much laying everything down because I didn't know anything about multifamily lenders, underwriting. So I was just like, start with what I have, and you will be surprised how much help they need, even if it's something very, very obvious for you. That's probably one of the things that I have learned now that I'm older. So we are so, it's so easy for us to take us for granted, our skill set. Like you say, you're a networker, and for you, it's like, oh, that's easy. I just connected this and that. But for somebody else, it's something that they can't do and they need you. But for us, like for me, like marketing and doing all these things, so for somebody else, is like, how do you do that? How did you come up with that? And for me, it's easy. But somebody else needs that, going to events and talking to the whole room, that some people can do that. So just find things that you are good at that and you can start. One of the things that I always tell people, the skill set that you have on your W2 career, just as a mom, as a wife, as a person, as a woman, like you can use it. Everything is transferable. So just need to understand what you're good at, and somebody needs that.
This is a fact. And usually it's what is most obvious to you. Or I botched that, right? But it's not obvious to you, but it's obvious to everyone else because we take it for granted in ourselves. Go back, listen to the episode with my advisor, Mark Levy. It's not too many episodes away from this. So go back and listen to that because he talks about, kind of unearthing that, how you are different in what you have to offer, your massive value. So important. Where do you see things going? What is your big vision?
Well, with I'm in a mission to help 1 million women create wealth through real estate. And not only that, we also want to help them grow on every aspect, personally, professionally, spiritually. And I think, we both agree that in order to achieve higher levels of success, we need to work on all the areas. So building that community to show them, to inspire them, to support them is something really close to my heart. I'm gonna start doing it in Spanish. We haven't launched the news, so question semester are the first, and knowing that. So we're starting next year. We're gonna do the same thing, but just in Spanish for all the Latino community. And of course, growing the portfolio, helping people start investing in real estate, expanding on the markets that we already are. We have 200, over 200 millions of assets under management with an asset capital. So definitely we want to double that and yeah, grow that.
It's so exciting. Okay, I'm always curious, and this is a selfish question, right? Did people have different goals of helping a million? I've heard several people recently say billion, and I'm like, oh, okay. Since million feels comfortable, people are going to billion now. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to stop anybody. I'm not squishing anybody's dream. I love it. Go for it. Change the world. How do we substantiate that, or how do you know? How does anyone who is on that kind of trajectory know, like, I've done it? Or is it more the idea of like, I'm going after this and that's what matters most?
I think it's just going after that because you can really, well, for I'm gonna speak for myself. I can really track how many women I impacted with she. But what I can track is that I impacted you, and you went and you impacted your daughter, her. It's a ripple effect, and we can really track it. But what we can do is just impact the woman around us and impact whoever we're looking to impact around us. Make sure they do the same. Just don't keep it to yourself. That's where we can change the world, and make sure everybody gets the benefit of that positive impact.
I love that so much. And that was what I honestly thought that would be the direction you would go with that question. Not that you know, I wasn't certain of it, but your heart is always so generous, so kind, so abundant oriented that in like, I don't even think you care about actually the number as much as how many times can we ripple this out. And I think about how many podcasts you've been on and how many people hear you via podcasts and that changes their life and they have conversations. Like it really is something that would be very challenging to substantiate, but you can keep going.
Absolutely. It just when we speak at events, and when I remember when I spoke at a cautious investor, and just people coming to me is like, thank you so much for sharing, because I needed to hear that too. Start my business, to do this, to do that. I mean, I can really I can really track that, but just having that person saying that to me, and that she wants, especially in women, like we have so much impact around everybody, our spouses, our family. You have a beautiful family. Because, when I went to Cautious Investor, just seeing the relationship that you have with your kids, with your husband, it's because you are living to have, to your higher potential. You are working on every single aspect of your life. So of course that has huge impact on your husband, and he loves you. And the kids, people say that the best gift that you can give to your kids is loving your spouse. So, and you see that in your kids, so you can really track that impact, but it's happening. We are doing a very, impacting positively in the world.
Well, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for noticing that, because everything takes a lot. It's effort, right? But it's the best work that we can possibly embark upon. And I absolutely love that. As we wrap up, I'm curious about your top favorite book. And I'm going to say, as a fellow woman of faith, aside from the Bible, and aside from, just to say, and the Purple Book. Also, I'm like, a lot of people like, what's one of those books that really changed your life or perspective that might be lesser known?
I try to read a lot. Right now, I'm actually reading Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And it has changed so much on how I think about negotiations, how we can really get everything that we want just by having the skill set of negotiation. And that's something that people don't think about it. Like, if I'm not in business or if I'm not an investor, I don't really want to think about that. But just with your family, everything is negotiation. Kids, everybody around you. That has been my favorite book this year so far. I highly recommend it.
I enjoyed that book. I actually painted and stained my studio on my property while listening to that book. And that was a book that every time I think of Never Split the Difference, I just think of painting walls and staining the wood ceiling. Like, oh, there we go. But it was so insightful. So, Conscious Investor, I do highly recommend that book. And you can, I don't always recommend audiobooks because we don't retain as much. However, if you do listen to that, it's a well read audiobook.
Yeah, I'm reading in paper. I'm the person who highlights and put, I need to see it. But yeah, no, it's definitely very insightful.
I'm with you too. I like having a conversation with the author in the margins. Like, oh, what are we really talking about here? Jazz, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your patience, waiting to come on the show and flexibility. What is the best way? The conscious investor is hearing you. They might know a woman that would just benefit from being in she, or maybe that's you and you're like, oh, I need that type of community around me. Or someone that is curious about what are the current investments, like how can they connect that?
Yeah, they can visit our website, massive that capital/she, and that open up investment opportunities, just the community. Even if you don't want to invest, just want to be around like-minded women, that's the best way to find us. And of course, we're on all kind of social media.
I love it. Follow Jazz on the socials because she's super fun. She's got great content. It's inspiring, it's encouraging, it's insightful. It's everything that you need to be adding into your social feed as you are, exiting from any negativity. Just this is a dose of massive positivity. Jazz, thanks again so much for joining us on the show. And Conscious Investor, thank you for taking time to listen to this show. Please make sure that you are being mindful of what you are inviting into your life and what you are saying yes to and what you are saying no to, because they are both the same. They're both the same, two sides of the same coin. So make your choices with intention and stay on the path that is unfolding before you. Until next time, cheers to your health, your mindset, and your will.